What's up, guys? Welcome back to Chiefs Chat. Today's episode is a little bit of just kind of a fun episode, kind of one that really gets you thinking as a Chiefs fan. Today I'm going to be talking about Chiefs players that I wish would have gotten a Super Bowl championship ring. Players that I think deserved it, and also players that I feel like put a lot into this Chiefs franchise that unfortunately didn't end up getting a Super Bowl championship because they were not on the roster during the years of 2019 and 2023. Sometimes that's how it goes. Sometimes you just miss out. But yeah, I think it's going to be a fun one. And this is a list that I would encourage you guys in the comments, add to it, because I'm sure there are going to be some players that I'm not thinking about. But, there's a few right here. I've got 6 in total that, boom, just right off the dome. These are the players I think of when I'm presented with the topic of players that I wish would have gotten a Super Bowl ring. So let's not waste any time. Let's get right into this list, okay? The first player that I thought of course, is Jamaal Charles. Let's not forget the many years of dominance that he, gave to this Chiefs football team. It was incredible. He was drafted in 2009. And the second this guy took over as a starter, he was immediately one of the best running backs in the NFL. And still to this day, he's my personal favorite Chiefs player of all time. No disrespect to Patrick Mahomes, and to be quite honest, I'm sure he will take over that #1 ranking at some point. But I've just got so much love in my heart for this guy, Jamaal Charles. Growing up as a Chiefs fan, I was a very, very young, when he was drafted, I was 5 years old. I think maybe 6 actually at that point. But I was very young, okay? Started watching the Chiefs football team, and obviously we weren't very good. In 2010, I believe, we did make the playoffs with a 10-6 record. Jamaal Charles had a fantastic season. That was the first season that he fully started in the Chiefs backfield. But from then on, the team wasn't good, okay? We went 2-14, 7-9. We were just not very good for the next couple of seasons. But Jamaal Charles was that one star, that one bright spot on our roster, and he was he really was, for me, the player that, helped me fall in love with the game of football. The player that, helped me build this love that I have for the franchise. Growing up, he was the guy that I was watching. For other Chiefs fans, it could be, Derek Thomas, those players way back in the day. For me, that was Jamaal Charles. My guy was Jamaal Charles. He was the player that I just loved growing up. Even though the team wasn't good, this guy, Jamaal Charles, he just led us. He led our backfield. He was always getting yards, always getting touchdowns. And then Alex Smith came into town, and we really saw him, start to contribute to winning football. Once you get that winning culture in there, you got Andy Reid, you got Alex Smith. They utilized Jamaal Charles in just a fantastic way. Receiving touchdowns, receiving yards. Who could forget that game against Oakland where he had 5 touchdowns? I think almost 200 receiving yards. That was such a fun game. Jamaal Charles. I just love the guy. I could go on for hours about how much I just love this player. And yeah, I feel like he deserves a Super Bowl championship. Considering, not to throw Melvin Gordon under the bus, but let's not forget he got a ring. Okay, Melvin Gordon, the guy who we signed midway through last season, didn't even see the field. He's got a Super Bowl championship, and this guy Jamaal Charles doesn't. So that's not to say that Melvin Gordon didn't contribute to a Super Bowl championship team, because anybody on our team does. Whether you're on the practice squad, whether you're just a player that we signed. You could be bringing us intel. You could be, helping our guys get ready before game day. You never know, what these practice squad players are contributing, and that's why they do get rings. So I understand that, but yeah, Jamaal Charles, unfortunately, he missed out. It's really sad to say, but unfortunately, he did not get a ring. And I just feel like, as a guy who grew up watching him, he was the player, like I said, that made me fall in love with the game, and it's just sad. It's sad to think about the fact that he did not get that Super Bowl championship. So moving on, next player I've got on my list. Okay, I'm sure you guys are already thinking of a few players that deserve this ring, but the next guy I got is Eric Berry. A guy who was on our roster in 2018, just barely missed that window. Unfortunately, we did lose Eric Berry the year after we lost to the Patriots in the AFC Championship game. But, just what a career. What a career by Eric Berry for this Chiefs for this Chiefs franchise. He was a fantastic player. Definitely led our DBs for quite a few seasons. Let's not forget just the resilience he showed when he unfortunately was diagnosed with cancer and was able to come back from it and contribute to a great defense. I have a lot of love for that early 2010s Chiefs defense. I've got a few players on that defense on this list here that I believe were just fantastic. And Eric Berry was, probably the leader of a lot of those groups. Just a fantastic player. He brought so much energy. Drafted out of Tennessee in 2010, and the second he got on the field for the Chiefs, he was immediate impact. Just a ball hawk type player. And not only that, boom, he could get in there and he could just take down your running back. Doesn't even matter how big he is. He's just a hard-hitting player, just an absolute athlete. Just love the way the guy played. And the reason I feel like, he's probably one of the players on this list who I feel like deserves it the most, because he was on that team in 2018, mentoring these young guys, mentoring a lot of the guys who ended up, and are still on this football team. I mean, Chris Jones was on the team at that point. We got guys like Charvarius Ward, who was very young at the time, who Eric Berry mentored and was able to help, get ready for those big games. I mean, Eric Berry, he had a big impact, especially, in our 2019 Super Bowl championship. But I would say even now, even the 2023 one, I feel like he had, a helping hand in helping us get that Super Bowl. So I feel like he definitely deserves a ring, and it's pretty sad that he didn't get one, And that's how it is for all the players on the list, but yeah, Eric Berry as well. Next player I've got, okay, another guy from that fierce defense, man. I just loved the way that our defense was constructed way back in the day. We got Justin Houston. This guy, he led the league in sacks in 2015, okay? And he really was the guy who stepped up for our defense when Eric Berry went out with that cancer diagnosis. Justin Houston stepped in. He made some great plays. And he just had a fantastic career with the Chiefs. Just getting sacks, getting after the quarterback. That's what you like to see from a guy like Justin Houston. Just a great edge rusher. And I see him in the league today. I believe he was with the Colts for a couple of seasons, and now he's with the Ravens. And I still see him, just playing good football. I'm really upset that we released him. I believe he was only 29 years old when we unfortunately released him. I believe it was a salary issue. We were worried about having to pay him too much, but he was still contributing to winning football. That's really the one major criticism I have of just our organization, our front office. I mean, why? Why get rid of a guy like Justin Houston, especially because he's a fan favorite? He was a Kansas City guy through and through. I mean, he was with our team, 5+ seasons, just making great plays. Like I said, led the league in sacks in 2015. I feel like we let go of him a little bit too soon, just a little bit too soon. And if we would have held on to him for one more season, he would have got that Super Bowl championship. It's sad. I do believe he left the same season that Eric Berry left. So those two guys, like I said, I believe Eric Berry contributed to, some of the mentorship that went into a lot of the young players that were, in that Super Bowl in 2019. And I think, Justin Houston, the exact same way. I think he's a guy who mentored a lot of the players that we had on our football team at the time. And, unfortunately, he did not get a Super Bowl ring. It's sad to say. Next player on the list, yet again, another player from our fierce defense. We got Derrick Johnson. One thing about Derrick Johnson, he was never a flashy player. He was never that guy who was like, oh my gosh, this dude, first ballot Hall of Famer, greatest player of all time. But the thing about Derrick Johnson is he just knew how to get he just knew how to get tackles. He knew how whoever had the ball, he knew how to get them on the ground. He's not like a Patrick Willis, Luke Kuechly type player. He doesn't have that fierce big build. He's not like a giant player. He didn't necessarily stick out when you took a look at the football field. He's not the biggest guy. He's not the most strong, fast, fierce guy on the football field. But he just had a great mind. He had a great mind, and he just knew how to get players on the ground. And that is why, he's the Chiefs' all-time leading tackler. Led the Chiefs in tackles for quite a few seasons, and he was definitely, the captain of our defense for a couple of those seasons. A guy who really helped our defense grow, I believe, into the defense that it is today. We've just got a lot of players on our defense. They've just got big hearts. They know how to take players up to the ground, regardless of the fact that, maybe we've got a couple of players that aren't as big, aren't as strong, aren't as fast as a lot of the other players are. We just got heart. And I think Derrick Johnson had a helping hand in bringing that mentality to our defense. I think Derrick Johnson, obviously another guy who I believe deserved a ring, who didn't get one because I believe it was 2017 when we unfortunately let him go. I don't believe it was 2018, so I think it was a year before Eric Berry, and Justin Houston were unfortunately released. So another defense guy, okay? And the next guy on my list is another defense guy as well. I got Tamba Hali, okay? And Tamba Hali is a little bit different because I believe we got rid of him 2016, 2017, somewhere around there, a little bit before these other guys. But yeah, Tamba Hali was another guy who just knew how to get to the quarterback, just a fantastic player, just a textbook player too. You know, when you saw him play, he was always just making these crazy spin moves, just doing these really, really neat things you don't see a lot of players do. You know, Tamba Hali was a guy who just had it down to the book. He knew exactly how to get around that player and just get to the quarterback. And that's why I think, like, he's definitely one of these players. I believe maybe even, you know, out of all these players, out of all these defensive players, I would say, the biggest guy who I feel like just deserves this ring because, you know, one thing about him is I see reports coming out all the time about Tamba Hali mentoring young players on this Chiefs team. You know, Tamba Hali, he's just a Chiefs guy through and through. You know, he loves this organization, he cares about this organization, and he's still out here mentoring our young players, still, to this day. So, I mean, come on. I mean, this guy deserves a Super Bowl championship ring because he is directly contributing to the success of our young players, you know, being that mentor. And I think, honestly, I mean, the way that he's just a textbook player, they've got to be getting some really good pointers from this guy. Tamba Hali's just a great guy. I love him so much. Number 91, I just love him. Just a great player. And then the last guy on my list, I'm going to close the laptop because, you know, definitely not going to forget. But I think the player that contributed the most to these two Chiefs Super Bowl championships, who didn't get a ring, is Alex Smith, okay? Quarterback, number 11 for the Chiefs, okay? I believe he did the most to contribute to these two Super Bowl championships for the Chiefs. Out of any of the players that I listed, I believe he did the most. I believe he deserves it the most. And it's because what he did for this organization. You know, I could just go on and on about Alex Smith all day. I mean, I'm sure if you guys are you know, familiar with the channel, I've made videos about Alex Smith before. Because I just feel like he doesn't get a lot of recognition within Chiefs Kingdom. You know, I just feel like he's a guy who should be looked at as an absolute legend. And a lot of times I feel like he's overlooked, you know, for the 5 great years of service that he gave our Chiefs team as our quarterback. Because what he did was, along with Andy Reid, he came into this organization and he built a winning culture. You know, first and foremost, that's exactly what he did the second he stepped into the building. You know, we were a winning football team the second that Alex Smith stepped into the building. You know, the Chiefs, we haven't had a losing season since 2012. And guess what happened right after that year? You know, Alex Smith came in. You know, so let's not pretend like Patrick Mahomes has been here since 2013 because he hasn't. You know, I tip my cap to everything Patrick Mahomes has done for this organization. Obviously, this guy is, you know, God to us Chiefs fans. But I think Alex Smith, you know, he's a guy who helped God, you know, quite literally. And not only that, he just did a lot to bring a winning culture to this team. You know, we were 2-14. You know, we were 2-14 in 2012. You know, just got off of the season. We were like, oh, is Matt Castle our quarterback? He got hurt. Brought in another couple of guys. Brady Quinn for a little bit. It was just weird. It was just a weird time for Chiefs fans. And then Alex Smith came in. Boom. You know, just turned the team around. 11-5 the next season. And I believe we made the playoffs 4 out of the 5 years that he was the starter. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to take us to that next level. That's where Patrick Mahomes came in handy, obviously. But Alex Smith, I just have a lot of love in my heart for him. You know, I do feel like, you know, he deserves it. It's so sad that Alex Smith, throughout his entire career, was unable to get a Super Bowl championship. You know, he's a guy who absolutely deserved it. And I believe the main thing, the point that I haven't really hit on, that I believe he has done, you know, just so well. You know, the biggest thing, the best thing he could have possibly done for our organization, you know. Let's I'm sorry, I'm stumbling so much. Let's rewind the clock back to 2017. Alex Smith just got done with his best year as the Chiefs starting quarterback. You know, just absolutely balling out, you know. But here we go. You know, the NFL draft getting going, and the Chiefs decide to trade up, you know, to the 10th overall pick, and we went ahead and selected Patrick Mahomes, one of the best quarterbacks coming into that draft. We went ahead and picked him up, put him on our roster, and basically said, hey, Alex Smith, you're getting replaced soon. This is the guy that's going to come in and replace you. You know, and I feel like a lot of guys, we've seen it before with Ryan Tannehill. You know, Aaron Rodgers, you know, didn't really like Jordan Love too much. We've seen it a couple of times with these quarterbacks. They don't really like that. You know, when you're a good starting quarterback in the league, you expect to remain the starting quarterback of that team. You know, so when a young, good, you know, talented quarterback gets drafted to your organization, you get a little bit worried, and I think a lot of players are like, I don't like this. And they kind of just disregard it, and they try to put their head down, and they just kind of try to ignore the new quarterback coming in. But what Alex Smith did showed so much maturity, you know, so much maturity, and it helped our team tremendously because Alex Smith, he embraced the change. You know, Patrick Mahomes was brought in, and he really took him under his wing. He helped him, you know, learn the offense, and I think he really helped him learn the ins and outs of the NFL. Patrick Mahomes, let's not forget, he was a raw talent, a very, very raw talent. You know, when you're watching old college clips of him at Texas Tech, this guy, he's just slinging the football around. You know, not a care in the world. He is just throwing that thing left and right, doesn't even care. You know, half the time not even looking where he's throwing the ball. You know, so he was a very, very raw talent coming into the Chiefs organization. And Alex Smith was like, hey man, you know, I'm a vet. I'm a veteran in this league. You know, let me take you under my wing. Let me show you the ins and outs of this league. You know, let me show you how to be, you know, at times a game manager, because every starting quarterback needs to be able to manage the game. You know, if Patrick Mahomes every single play was trying to do these crazy, insane throws, wouldn't be too good. You know, wouldn't be too pretty. I think Patrick Mahomes, the way that he plays resembles Alex Smith in a lot of ways. You know, I see it. You know, sometimes the check down is the best option. Sometimes getting the ball into the hands of your playmaker as fast as you can is the best way to get a first down. And Patrick Mahomes, I feel like he learned that from Alex Smith. You know, I see it every time, you know, he makes one of those short throws. I just see that Alex Smith has impacted the way that he plays. You know, because he's still got that big, flashy play ability. But at the same time, he's got a great head on his shoulders. He just knows what to do in every given situation. And I do give Alex Smith a lot of the credit for that. I really do. So let me know what you guys think about that, you know? Let me know if there are some players that I may have left out. I think Dwayne Bowe was a guy who I was thinking about adding to the list. Just a couple of other great players for this organization. So let me know. Drop a comment. And I will see you guys in the next Chiefs chat. Peace out.